Anyone who just joined, we're giving another second. But thank you for joining us tonight.
Okay, hopefully my Wi-Fi stays on. If not, if I drop out again, you guys can just cut them.
In case anyone just joined, we're just gonna wait until about 7:35, just in case anybody else comes in.
All right, guys, we'll give it another minute or two.
All right, I think we can get started in case anybody else joins. We'll get them caught
Yeah.
up.
All
Yes,
right.
so at this event, we're going to be welcoming the co-founders of MyFi. It's a microfinance organization led by high schoolers based in New York City. MyFi closely collaborates with entrepreneurs in developing nations, providing them with microloans, financial guidance, and credit support. And they even introduced a recent religious repayment scheme to ensure their continued positive impact. So, yeah, I would like to welcome Charlie Berger, Alexa Moses, and Jack Davis to our MyFi speaker event.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Joy, for having us. It's great to be here. Basically, just to quickly introduce ourselves, my name's Alexa Moses. I'm a current senior at Trinity School in New York City. Jack and Charlie.
Charlie.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I know you're all busy, but I really appreciate you all for being here. I think it's going to be an informative hour. I am also a senior. I go to the Riverdale Country School. I'm happy to be here.
Yep. I'm Jack Davis. I see a bunch of familiar names in here. Thank you guys all for being here, and we're excited to talk to you guys. So, without further ado, we will.
Well, just on this side, very briefly, I can just introduce. Oh, Jack, do you mind going back for a second? Thank you. So basically, MyFi works to provide loans to small businesses to fund game-changing commodities, which we define as items that will increase the sustainability of a business. And just so everyone's on the same page, microfinance is basically the process of providing loans to borrowers from either low-income backgrounds or developing countries that we personally at MyFi define as under the amount of $1,000. Charlie, do you want to get into our issue?
Absolutely. So when thinking about, kind of a good way to frame our discussion tonight, we thought it would be best to start with the problem, or at least what we perceive to be the problem, that we kind of aim to address with MyFi. So at least for me personally, I guess just to share an anecdote of, why I feel that I'm somebody, who can, contribute positively to our mission at MyFi. When I was in sixth grade and seventh grade, I traveled to Haiti each year on service missions with a nonprofit organization called Clean Hands for Haiti. They have a community center in a town called Carrefour, Haiti. But since the recent political unrest in Haiti has been occurring, they moved to countryside of Annecy, where we actually now have a loan, but that's for later. But on each of those occasions, I was able to interface with young adults whose parents were working the small businesses that I was driving by, and walking by each and every day. So I think, being somebody who definitely lives in a privileged environment, I don't necessarily get to see the power that small business has. But in a developing nation like Haiti, there is really huge tangible impact that comes with being a small business owner. And so that was another thing that really drew me to MyFi. So obviously, as I'm sure many of you discuss in your microfinance work, predatory lending is a ubiquitous phenomenon in many developing countries. And at MyFi, we aim to give loans for the sole purpose of encouraging small businesses and people's growth. We don't aim to seek, huge profit in our returns. We are a nonprofit organization. And I think another big thing for us was that the three of us are entrepreneurs. We're involved in entrepreneurship work within our schools. Jack and I lead Riverdale's Entrepreneurship Club. And we figured that an organization like MyFi, that's sole aim is to support entrepreneurs throughout the world, is a very nice idea to have entrepreneurs creating a company like MyFi that sole purpose is to allow others to flourish in their business endeavors is something that we were very interested in. And I also think that another really nice thing about MyFi and having it be a high school microfinance organization is that we really get to have one-on-one relationships with every single one of our borrowers. We try to make ourselves available 24/7, 365 to our borrowers, whether it be over WhatsApp or email communication. We're always willing to talk to individuals about extending or changing their loan plans, or, helping them coordinate repayments or, just generally hearing updates about their lives. A lot of the individuals we interface with talk a lot, about things that are going on, their experience in the workplace, how work has been flowing, has it been busy, has it been quiet. So that's another thing we really value at MyFi. And another big thing that we wanted, to talk a lot about today, especially towards the end of the presentation, is that there are very few organizations that are actually allowing high school students to get involved in microfinance work. Often schools have microfinance clubs that are that basically focus primarily on discussing new ways that we can adapt new technologies and find new areas to give microfinance loans. But I think kind of the whole idea of having an organization, of course, we're not Kiva sized, but actually running the day-to-day operation of a business is something that there's not a lot of experience or a lot of opportunities out there for high school students to get experience doing. And that's what we really aim to bring to high schoolers that are passionate about entrepreneurship and microfinance through MyFi. Thank you.
Awesome, Charlie. Thank you. I'm going to discuss briefly what MyFi's solution is to this issue. So the first step is that we partner with nonprofit organizations or community centers around the world. So right now we're in South Africa, Haiti, and we're expanding to other countries and other developing areas. So once we get in contact with these community centers, we branch out to trusted business owners in those surrounding areas that they refer to us. And then, like Alexis said earlier, we invest our money in game-changing commodities, which is a term we coined, and it's best to provide an example to explain it. So let's say there's someone like a seamstress in South Africa who wants to grow her business. Her business is plateauing or declining, and she wants some way to take it to the next level. MyFi wouldn't invest in thread or yarn for her to use because that goes away. It's a material amount that can be used. What we would do is we'd invest in something that could affect the sustainability, the long-term success of her business. So we would invest in something like a new sewing machine or maybe a new part of a sewing machine that could increase the efficiency of her business. We also, like Charlie said, stay in touch with our loanees so we can give them constant financial advice and support about what to do with their business. And once someone has one loan with MyFi, they can then take out another one in the future, which is simply put, credit. So they can develop a credit with MyFi.
And ultimately, when we were founding MyFi, we really wanted to ensure that we would create the best process possible. So how we did that is we spoke to a lot of professionals on how they did things in their own business and really wanted to create that solid foundation. So how we did that is we spoke to them and ultimately ping-ponged back and forth ideas over how to solidify it. And we ultimately came to this mission, which I'm going to read out. MyFi cultivates financial independence across the globe by providing microloans, intimate financial guidance, and credit to entrepreneurs in the developing world. We provide loans to fractured small businesses with five or fewer employees in Central America, the Caribbean, and Africa. We solely invest our capital into game-changing commodities, which enable the growth and viability of small businesses. Following loan repayments, our borrowers receive credit with MyFi and are placed on a rigorous repayment plan. All loan interest is reintroduced into our fund, creating a self-sufficient capital stream.
All right. So now I bet, and as many people have questions when we begin to talk to them about MyFi and kind of how our operations work, they want to know what people are doing to receive loans. Do we randomly go in? How do we determine which individuals are going to be trustworthy? How do we build a relationship of trust with our community centers, especially when we take nothing as collateral? So I'm here to outline, the first 3 steps in our eyes of getting a loan out the door to a borrower. I guess we'll have a click. So the first step in our process is the application. We worked, I'd say, for around 3 months, and we are always kind of editing and adding new questions to our application. We provide both a physical, printable application to our borrowers, and we also primarily receive applications on Google Forms, which allows us to get a better sense for our borrowers' living positions. Are they married? Do they have children? What's the current state of their business? What their loan size looks like, what they think that their, ability to repay the loan looks like, how long they would like to repay the loan. And also, I think one of the most important things about our application is we have an area where individuals must receive a recommendation, from a fellow community member, whether it be the head of the community center that we made contact with them through, or just through a friend of theirs. We want to know that these individuals have a rapport of being trustworthy within their communities. So that's what the kind of application allows us to do. I think also another really large thing about the application is it allows us to gain statistics on the individuals that we are working with to hopefully inform our future decisions on whether to enter a community or not. We can always refer back to, the general answers that we receive, with regard to each question in our application. So now I have a click. So after we've determined that a borrower, is worthy of a MyFi loan, and right now we're actually working with our legal team to have an official document on selectivity and eligibility for a MyFi loan. So that will be coming shortly. We devise the terms of the loan. We ask people how long they think they're going to need to repay the loan, and we work with them to find a plan that fits their lifestyle. Our goal is not to rush people to repay loans. We understand that businesses take time. We also understand that business has an entirely different persona in areas where, there's seasons of intense customer traffic and there's seasons of slower customer traffic. So we really try to be lenient. I think one of my favorite story about devising our loan terms is actually one of our borrowers. Her name is Julia. And Alexa will speak about her a little bit later tonight, but she actually had somebody send us a picture of her, while she was recovering in the hospital because she was worried that we were going to be upset that she wasn't repaying her loan. But she checked in with us. She sent us a photo. She let us know she was feeling better and that she was going to be willing and ready to get to work as soon as possible. And of course, to that, we were like, Julia, totally no brainer. Our biggest priority is that you get well. There's no rush to ever repay the loans. All it matters to us is that it gets repaid eventually. And as best as we can, we like to make things fit your lifestyle. So we'll have a click. So I think after we devise the terms of the loan, pretty simply, we utilize a lot of digital transfer services. We use an organization for our outgoing loans called Zoom, which is a subsidiary of PayPal, which is sort of, I guess, a more Venmo-esque version of PayPal, even though Venmo is already pretty close to Venmo, but it does allow us to transfer to a lot of the countries that we're interested in sending money to. So we send money via the digital transfer portals. And it is really important to us and something that we are working on trying to circumvent. But as of right now, we are definitely limited to individuals that do have bank accounts. And we are very interested in seeing if we can find a way to connect with individuals who are not registered in banks, but it's been hard to do so.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. Now I'll be I'll be discussing probably what's on everyone's mind is how do we get this money back? We're sending money halfway across the world. How do we make sure it comes back? I'll run us through the step by step. So first, throughout the time that the loan is out, there's constant open communication. Right here we have the Telegram logo, the WhatsApp logo, and the Gmail logo. And these are our three main forms of communication. I'd say that with all of our loanees right now, we have, threads with them on all of these platforms. And, WhatsApp has been our leader actually across the world of getting in contact with these people and making sure that they're doing okay. So the goal is for the business to develop over time. So like I said, we'll be in open communication as this is going on. Of course, it's possible that the business may decline, or that, like Charlie said, a loanee's health may decline. And in that case, we're happy to adjust terms of the loan. And then next comes the repayment period. So right there is the World Remit logo. Something that I love about MyFi, and you saw in the last slide with the Google Forms logo and all of these different digital sites, is that we really take advantage of the fact that, our generation grew up around technology, and we're using technology to make change here. So we use World Remit to make sure that the money comes back. And I will discuss, our risk management and how we can ensure that the loanees will repay the loan a little more in the future. So.
Great. So in terms of what makes us different, what makes us unique from all of these larger, big lending platforms, one of them is borrower accessibility. And a lot of the failures of micro lending come from miscommunication between the borrower and the lender. So we wanted to circumvent this issue through partnering with community centers mainly. And this simple act provides many services for us. One of them being that through communication with them initially, we're able to understand the needs of environment. How are we supposed to really communicate with them, with our potential borrowers, with our potential loanees, in the best way for them? For example, in South Africa, we eventually transferred from Gmail email to WhatsApp, because that's what they use the most in their community. And we were able to learn that through the community center that we paired with there, which I'll get into later. And also, we're able to understand how their community works together, how the businesses work together and really interact with each other, who supports who goes to their community center, who their climate is around them, what the political, socio-political climate and everything else is as well. Another one of them is to disseminate information on how to access our loans. So Charlie mentioned earlier that we do have a printable application as well as an online application. And a lot of these community centers are places where people can access technology where they wouldn't otherwise be able to at home. They also provide services to our borrowers themselves. They help with the forms. If they don't know how to type, if they don't know how to speak English, they're able to translate it for them, as well as actually help them find the language to do so. And they also provide the borrowers with a sense of accountability, because since they have this relationship through the community center, they sort of feel indebted to the community center for providing them with the opportunity and for supporting them throughout the process. So this establishes more of accountability that we will get the loan back, and as well as many other things, which I believe Charlie and Jack will touch on next.
All right. So I think another really big thing, and I tried my best to mention this a bit earlier, is that we felt that as a bunch of entrepreneurial teens who wanted to get involved in working actually to support a business that is fully functioning and independent, not associated with any other organization. It's not associated with a school. It's not associated with a specific area of the country. We wanted to learn how to be entrepreneurs, how to run businesses, and how to, get our footing in the microfinance space wholly by experience. A lot of the individuals we spoke to throughout the process of founding MyFi told us that the best way to learn is through experience. And I think if you find, as many of you, go off to look at institutions of higher education, you'll find that a lot of the business programs in those areas cite very specifically the importance of experiential education. So not only do we want to create an organization that did great things and affected positive change throughout the global community of entrepreneurs, but we also wanted to be able to extend leadership opportunities and internship opportunities to high school students, much like us, who are passionate about entrepreneurship and actually want to see what it's like running a business as a young person who goes to school on a regular basis. And that's why we aim to get involved in as many educational opportunities such as this one. Recently, we were invited to be guest speakers on a podcast that highlights teen change makers called Simple Acts, Big Impacts. We were hosted by Natalie Silverstein, who's the host of the podcast. And we spoke, again, about exactly what we do at MyFi, and I guess kind of what it means to us to be agents of change, as young people and as high school students, and wanting, new, fresh voices to be in our space as well, to help us continue to grow and expand our organization through experiential education opportunities.
All righty. Thank you, guys. Okay, now I will talk about the loan fund structure. So this is all about our risk management, how we make sure the money comes back, and it's probably one of my favorite parts about doing this. So we send money, like I said, halfway across the world, and we have no understanding of, the collateral laws in these countries. We don't interfere with the legal system there. We do not take collateral over these people because one of our goals is to, end loan sharking and make the system easier for these people and much safer and healthier. And so how our fund works is, when we get connected to loanees through community centers, like Alexa said before, those people have some sort of reliance on their community centers. They might come to the community center for food, in the case in South Africa, or they may need it for simple goods like access to the internet, or a computer. And so these people are very intertwined with their community center. So when we go to a community center, we say, we want your most trusted people. We want the entrepreneurs who are driven, who are going to produce results, and who are going to get these loans back. And then the community center then takes on the liability that they are going to connect us with their most trusted entrepreneurs. And so when the money goes out, there's an understanding between us and the community center that if one of their entrepreneurs defaults on their loan and is unable to repay the loan, then MyFi will likely remove ourselves from that community. And what I really like about this system is, one, it's all about trust. It's us trusting the community center, who's trusting their borrower, who's trusting us to then, support them financially. And an example of this is in Haiti. Haiti was our first loan to a man named Josant, who owns a barbershop. And he actually ended up defaulting on his loan, but the community center stepped in and they repaid the loan for him. So we maintained the same fund, the same amount of money, and the community center really stepped in big time. So I think that makes us extremely unique. That's being done nowhere in the microfinance sector. And it's something that, I'm really proud of and can always be improved as well. So what are we up to right now? Like I said before, we have borrowers in Haiti. This is Josant right here in the middle, through the community center. That's Clean Hands for Haiti, which Charlie worked for many years. And he owns a barbershop. You can see his barbershop right here. Basically, he is an entrepreneur, just like everyone in this Zoom room right now. And he realized a need in his community. There wasn't a barbershop for, I believe, 7 miles or so outside of his town. And so people had to walk just to get their haircuts. So he opened up this storefront, but he found that, like you can see here, there was no lighting, and he was using a razor and metal scissors. So he couldn't stay open for long through the night. and his haircuts were also taking, much longer than he would have hoped for. So he approached MyFi and said that he was in need of some battery packs and electric clippers, which would increase the efficiency of his business. It's a game changer that increases the sustainability. So he was our first loan. We granted him these two sets of electric clippers that you can see in his hands and these two battery packs over here. And, his business actually did do better, but unfortunately, there's a lot of turmoil in Haiti right now, so he was unable to repay his loan. But, it was a great experience, and we're still in contact with him at this moment.
So this is Rosie's Soup Kitchen, our community center in Kailicha, South Africa. And you might be wondering how a soup kitchen can do all of this for us, how it can serve as a community center for MyFi. And it is run by this one woman, Rosie, who is pictured on the left picture. And she's really an amazing woman. She provides food for basically all of the town on certain days. And she has created this network around her through this ability to give food to everyone. So, what does she do for us? What she does is she helps our loanees with their application and return process, which has been very, very helpful for especially our initial loans. And throughout the loan time frame, she checks in on the success of their businesses. So whenever they purchase something, she always corroborates their statements by actually going and visiting them, checking in on them, and making sure that everything's going well and that they don't need any more assistance from us. And we've actually administered 5 loans from her, with her, who she has recommended, which have ranged from this business called Julia's Chicken, which was run by a woman, and this woman, Julia. And it's basically a restaurant that sells meat during the daytime and is really a hub for music and food and dining for the people of this town. To Zolani Javu's moving storefront, and he was able to purchase a refrigerator for actually expanding his business to include refrigerated drinks as well. And we've also lended to a woman named Nonkosi, who started a bakery and wanted to expand to more customers since her customer network was growing so rapidly, but she wasn't able to, she didn't have the correct amount of utensils to actually provide for all of these customers. And each of these loanees were able to grow their businesses through these loans, and they were able to accommodate more customers because of them and because of the quote unquote game changing commodities that we were able to provide the loan for. And part of this greatness of this community center specifically was Rosie's ability to help our loanees in whatever problems they encountered. So for example, when they were having sign up issues with World Remit, which is our service to return the loans, she was able to help walk them through that, since she has great English skills and great problem solving abilities as well. And for MyFi specifically, her widespread network has greatly helped us establish accountability and access in Kailicha, and has spread the knowledge of our organization to many people in her town through this network of food, basically.
Carly, you're muted.
How embarrassing. Thank you, Jack. Before I get into MyFi X STEM Impact Center Kenya, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are going to open up the floor for Q&A in about 15 minutes. So if any questions start to percolate in your mind, please feel free to throw them in the chat, and then we can address them when we turn to Q&A. Another quick thing that I wanted to mention before we get into this that I realized we haven't, I guess, explicitly covered yet is we do actually ask for interest payments on our loan. We ask for our loans to be repaid with very, very slight interest, but below obviously the market rate in each of the countries that we operate in. It varies from country to country. But I think something that's really nice actually about the fact that we ask for interest, and I know obviously you hear interest and you don't automatically think nice, but I think what's nice about what MyFi does with our interest profit is that we put it right back into our loan fund. And I guess for us, what that's really created on a conceptual level, and hopefully one day on a very, very much tangible level, is a loan fund that is made for entrepreneurs and sustained by entrepreneurs who have used the money in the fund to grow their own business. And so now to get into one of our most recent partnerships, MyFi recently partnered with STEM Impact Center Kenya, which is a STEM center located in Nairobi, Kenya, and ran by a man named Alex Magu, who I had the privilege of meeting at my school when he was in New York City for the annual UN conference. So he gave a presentation at Riverdale about the STEM Center and the services it provides for youth in Kenya who are interested in getting involved in computer science and STEM. So what Project Mwalimu allows us to do is provide loans to actual public schools in Nairobi, Kenya, and also the surrounding countries as well, as he's mentioned to me, for individuals to take out loans from MyFi through the activities budget in their school. So each public school in Kenya has an activities budget that's paid by the government on a quarterly basis, and they can use MyFi loans to buy equipment such as computers, robotics kits, etc., to set up STEM clubs and coding clubs within their communities. And they're going to pay off their debt to MyFi with the activities budgets that I mentioned before that are administered by the government on a quarterly basis. So thus far, Mr. Magu has actually gone to a faculty conference in the area to present Project Malamu to teachers in the area to gauge interest on the program. And so far, we've heard a lot of positive responses, and he's actually in the process of helping us create a social media release for this project to let it be known to other schools in the area, as well as sending us the written receipts that he received from the teachers he spoke with about the amount of money they're interested in taking out to support their coding clubs in their schools.
Thank you. So now I'll be talking a little bit about, the opportunities for all of you here if you find MyFi interesting. And I'll make this quick because I know we've been talking for a long time. So we basically have 4 teams that you can apply to, and we'll, give you all the links and the application forms afterwards. But I'll start here with the media team. MyFi, we run our own website. That's myfinyc.org. We have an Instagram. We're always looking to expand and, spread the word for MyFi through cool graphics, and emails like that. So the media team is an opportunity for that. We have the outreach team, which is, people who will be directly responsible for reaching out to community centers that are, again, halfway across the world, which I think is really cool. You get to, call people. For those that go to Riverdale here, Charlie and I would call people that were in South Africa or India in the middle of the school day, which I think is really cool to do. And then there's a leadership team for people with more experience in microfinance who, really want to take on a responsibility this summer or next year and want to show that they have what it takes to really front something like MyFi. And then we have the development team, which is similar to the outreach team. I apologize. The outreach team is also responsible for reaching out to those that are borrowing currently and reaching out to loanees and making sure that they're okay. The development team will help out with the outreach team and really try and spread MyFi into new areas and new community centers. So feel free to ask more questions about that shortly.
So we wanted to close with this quote from Lao Tzu, who was a Chinese philosopher during the 5th century. And he came up with this famous quote: "Give a man a fish and he will be fed for a day. Teach a man to fish and he will be fed for a lifetime." So MyFi expanded on this with: give a person the means to buy his own fishing rod, his community will be fed forever. And this incorporates all the tenets of MyFi. We believe that with our model of game-changing commodities, their entire communities will grow with the increase of sustainability in their own businesses. At MyFi, we believe that each person can truly have this impact on their community, and that this one person can indefinitely change the larger circle around them. So with that, I think we can end there, Charlie.
Yeah, perfect. Again, just wanted to thank you all. We know you're very, very busy, and, to take an hour out of your night is a big ask, but we really hope that, the contents of this slide may be interesting to you and may have made this hour worthwhile. We're absolutely looking for applications to our internship program, for the summer of 2023. And in addition to just the internship program, for individuals who do want to take on a more permanent role at MyFi, there's an option to select interest in being on a permanent member of one of those teams. Of course, if you are selected to be a member of any one of those teams, there's absolutely negotiable mobility within the organization if you want to move to a different team or take on a new role or even ascend to be, the acting director. Those are all very much things that we're more than willing and able to discuss with you, and happy to discuss with you, as we are certainly looking for young leadership. So the top barcode, as it says, is to apply to be a part of MyFi's internship program or to become a more permanent member of MyFi's team. And on the bottom barcode is our website. Both of these links, Jay is going to have and hopefully send around afterwards. So if you don't catch them now, they'll be very much available to you in the future.
Thank you all so much for listening. We are so happy to have you here. And if anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat.
Looks like Clark has a question. If anyone would like to take it.
You got it, Char.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Clark's question, I guess I'll just read it out loud, is if we could talk about what filling out an application looks like and kind of what qualifies as a application that we all accept and what qualifies as an application that we're in the position to deny. And recently, as I mentioned, we've been working with our legal team to kind of finalize a selectivity and eligibility guidelines that will kind of exist as a governance document within our organization. So for instance, certain things on the application that could absolutely never lead to, a denial of any sort. We will never deny an individual a loan, based off on their gender identity, based off of their race, based off of their, religious affiliations, anything like that. We would never ever use as a determinant for, choosing or denying a loan. I also think it's important to recognize that a lot of what we look to gauge in the application is if we're actually dealing with a fractured small business, or if we're looking to, if we're dealing with someone who more is a venture. We're not totally at the stage where we have, a loan fund that's in the hundreds of thousands, and we can be willing to receive applications from individuals who are entrepreneurs just like us, and they have an idea for a business. We look to see individuals who already have some form of a business that's intact. So if it does appear to be mere speculation, we unfortunately would have to deny those individuals a MyFi loan. We also look at their general business plan and business structure. We ask for a sort of elevator pitch, if you will, in the application, and to kind of get a sense of if this is if it's a business that's replicable. Is it, just a transportation business or, a restaurant? As we mentioned, we work with a lot of restaurants. We're more comfortable with established kind of business models that individuals are seeing out in their community and making iterations of themselves and trying to be the best at it. That works very well for us. But if it's really for, a real unicorn of an idea, I think we'd have to more discuss amongst ourselves if we truly do believe that it's a strong, viable idea. So I think that, I hope that was a solid answer to your question, but I just want to be conscious of getting to some others. But thank you so much.
And then I think Mia did ask a question in the chat, but also everybody, now that we're in the Q&A part of the session, you guys can also unmute, raise your hands to actually ask questions.
Alexa, why don't you take this question and I will work on.
Okay, perfect. Jack, do you also want to maybe unshare the screen so we can see everyone? So Mia asked the question of, can you talk a little more about how you got involved with microfinance / what sparked your interest? So I think we all came about this in very different pathways. So for me personally, I took a class the summer after my sophomore year of high school, which was all about cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, and blockchain. So I basically saw the practical implications of these 3 different technologies, specifically cryptocurrency though, and what they could do for the microlending world. So I led with that idea and really became impassioned for created a passion for microfinance with that basis. And I thankfully found the same passion in Charlie and Jack, who came about it in different ways, which I'm sure they can get to. But I think that just finding that interest and then running with it and really pursuing the opportunities that you're presented with and using your resources around you to create something yourself has really been very impactful for me personally. And I think that since we are high school students, it's honestly been like a lot of give and take and just trying to troubleshoot and understand where we are and where we can go.
Yeah, I will take Dalton's question now about the differences in the teams. So the outreach team is more responsible for finding new communities and really that's like what we'd call the networking team. That's where you're going out, you're making cold calls, you're sending out emails, really looking for new community centers to get involved with. And the development team is more focused on, what new technology we can use to, increase the efficiency of MyFi. For example, maybe there's a better service to send funds across the world. So the development team would be responsible for that, and it's more of a researching role rather than a communicating role.
And then I can take Clark's question in the chat. Are you looking to fundraise? And if you are, who is your audience to ask? So yes, we are always looking to increase our fund and offer more opportunities to more people around the world, as well as gain more funds in order to expand our business to other communities and countries worldwide. And previously we host an annual fundraiser, spring fundraiser, that takes a lot of different forms. So last year we did an online fundraiser, as well as Charlie's an avid biker. So he did a sort of pay per mile opportunity where people could pledge and yeah, he's doing a thumbs up. But people could pledge and then we raised money through that. And then we also paired with a school downtown and we hosted sort of like a theme park day for the children. And we were able to, one, educate the youth or those younger than us on what microfinance is, the implications and the opportunities of it, as well as ask the parents around them to donate and support us. So this year we are also looking for people to help us with this spring fundraiser if that's something you're interested in. And we're still deciding what form that's going to take, but possibly one of the two that we've done last year.
I'm also, thank you so much for that explanation, Alex. I think that was perfect and really captured everything we aim to strive for with regard to our fundraising. Darius, just quickly before I come to your question, I think we can also expand the discussion even larger if that's of interest to anybody. If anybody has any questions about what it took to actually bring an organization to fruition as high school students, what it looked like getting involved with like an actual pro bono legal team, anything like that, that you want to know about. We're more than happy to discuss that as well, because we realize that, microfinance may not be your initial and primary interest, but, still setting up a business as a high school student is something that I really wish that I had some people kind of in my shoes to discuss with me, about. So yes. Anyway, Darius, ready for your question?
First off, I just wanted to say thank you for being here. It's very admirable, your work. And I just appreciate your guys' drive. And my question is actually relating to what you just said. I guess, could you talk about your experience starting this organization as, high school students? Like, what was the adversity you faced in regards to your age? Did it work to your benefit? Were people like, oh, we're going to help these kids out? Or were they like, no way these kids want to loan out money? That's ridiculous. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
First of all, thank you so much for the compliments. We really appreciate it. And I think, just to get to your question, because I do think it's a very real aspect of all of our experiences, the three of us, in trying to bring this idea to life. I think first and foremost, age was a really big thing for people, especially when we're taking on as precarious of a business endeavor as setting up a MyFi, a micro lending group. People want to know why, we think ourselves to be proper for the role of leading a microfinance organization. They want to know that we have a personal connection to it, which I think, as Alexa mentioned, as I tried to mention earlier in this call, and I'm sure Jack can mention at a moment's notice, is we all have very, very personal connections to what we do at MyFi. But also on our end, we had to be very, very clear and on the same page about our methods of developing trust with community centers, and also being as educated as we can possibly be on exactly what our organization does, why we're different from other organizations, and the type of help and support that we're looking for from the professionals that we were meeting with. I think on the whole, people are very inspired to see young thinkers and I guess young entrepreneurs bringing ideas to life. But I definitely do think that they also like to feel like they're dealing with people who've done their homework. They don't want to feel like, you're kind of taking this on because it's going to look good on a resume, or, kind of build out your portfolio of extracurriculars. They want to know that you actually have skin in the game and you care about what you do. And I think that that's very important as well. And I also do realize that it's kind of hard. Like sometimes you're just interested in something. And if you're genuinely interested in something, that can also turn into a beautiful explanation of why you find yourself, to be fit for the role of running a microfinance organization. So I hope that got to your question. And again, thank you very much for the kind words.
Of
Yeah,
course, that's a great answer. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Darius. I would love to take on Dylan's question about the legal logistics of MyFi. This is something that we've been, spending a lot of time on recently. So, like Charlie said earlier, MyFi has a full legal team. Kindly enough, they do it pro bono, so we don't pay them. And they're just like us, like wanting to make change in the world and support this business. So we don't actually hold collateral over our loanees, but we do get involved in the fact that we have to pay taxes, which is something that, as high school students, we were not expecting to have to do this early on. And so they help us do that. But more importantly, MyFi is a corporation right now, but our dream is to be a certified 501c3 nonprofit organization, which would mean that we actually don't have to pay taxes on our donations, and people could send in donations and then get tax exemptions on those donations because we would be a recognized charity. So our goal right now is to reach that C3 status, and it takes a lot of forms and back and forth with the IRS and just a lot of paperwork, a lot of late night Zoom meetings, but it'll be a massive step for us when we get it done, because we think that the funds will come in at a much higher rate as people will, have a greater economic incentive to donate to MyFi.
Yeah, Jai.
Yeah, if nobody else has a question, I was just wondering, what does expansion look like for MyFi? Because I know that other bigger microfinance organizations like Kiva, or like crowdfunding platforms like Kiva, they have bigger projects where they have much larger loans that they actually give to people, and much larger loans that they actually give to people outside of their field partner groups. So do you think that that might be one of MyFi's goals for the future, giving larger loans to like larger groups of people? Or do you think that as you expand, you're just going to stick to, giving loans to just many different people across the country?
Yeah, so basically for us, I think that right now we're targeted towards expanding to different nations and expanding to different communities. Ultimately, our goal would to be to create a network of loanees within one community around. We're discussing it obviously differs between each community, and then to move on to the next one and to really impact as many people as we possibly can, while also establishing correct and full connections with each community center. So right now we are in contact with a couple different community centers around Asia, Africa, and we're in discussion with them to see if they would be proper for our endeavors. And mostly it is just location to which we are expanding to, but also I think we're in the future, we're discussing different ideas of how we can incorporate new technologies into the loan process, how we can stay ahead of the curve and also modernize with new ideas. So that's also where you all come in. If you would like to apply to our development team, that's what we'll be focusing on. and also to expand it to different schools, different high school students, to create opportunities for them to become involved with microfinance, and also to offer them the opportunity to work with like a high school entrepreneurship group. So those would be the two main ones. Yeah, Charlie, add on.
Absolutely. I just think two things that I'd like to add on. I think, as I tried to allude to before, Alexa is absolutely right in saying that we want to enter as many new areas of the world as we can and affect positive change there, especially observable positive change that we can write reports about, and hopefully have kind of, just a series of written reports on different communities, what they were like when we entered, what our loans did to build up certain individual businesses, and how they contribute to the greater economy of those areas. I think that that's one thing that we absolutely would like to do in the short term, but to really have like a big, hairy, audacious goal. We talk about this in entrepreneurship a lot. It's called BHAG. I think we'd love to start and raise enough funds to have a venture program, a MyFi venture program, where we take on, young entrepreneurs from developing areas of the world who have ideas, and we give them, the full economic support to bring their idea to life, give them super long-term loans. And I also think our bigger and larger audacious goal would be to, have enough funds to actually create a development team that's actually going to create a digital transfer service that is completely personal to MyFi, that allows people to register their bank accounts with MyFi, and, kind of doesn't make us be beholden to a third-party organization. They can set up an account with MyFi when they apply for the loan, when they send their money, when we receive the money back. That would all happen through one kind of digital channel. I think that's another thing that's exciting about us all going off to institutions of higher education. We're going to be in college. We're going to be meeting new people and studying, various things, including computer science, I think in most cases, and also still having the majority of our leadership be in high school. So kind of those two areas of development are very real and very possible for our future. So I guess that's kind of a more down the road goal that I certainly have for MyFi.
Well, thank you so much, Charlie, for your response. That was super informative. But does anybody else have any other questions? Or Dalton, if you're referring to the form for actually applying for MyFi's team, I'm gonna drop my email in the chat right now, and I'm gonna give everybody an opportunity to just reach out for me for any forms or details you need, and then I'll make sure to send them over. So just putting that right there. So you can reach out.
One final thing. We'll also put all of our emails in the chat before we let you all go. We realize you've been here for a while. Thank you again. But we're going to all put our emails in the chat, and feel free to reach out to any of us as well if you have any questions.
Yeah, and looking at it, as I don't think we have any more questions, Charlie, Jack, Alexa, and I are just going to stay around for a few more minutes, just in case anybody wants to hang back, ask one more quick question. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you so much, Charlie, Jack, and Alexa, for for speaking. It was super informative, and we really appreciate all the work that you're doing. So yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys. Have a great night, everyone.
Great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know what? Could I actually ask like one more question?
Yeah, definitely.
So you were talking a lot about like the legal process. How much do you think, like how long did it take from like idea to the point where you like completed your first loan? Like how long was that?
I'm trying to think. We need to
I
collaborate.
think it was about a year. So
A year.
in terms of until we administered the loan or completed the loan.
Administered the loan.
Yes, so that was about a year. And we spent the first 3 months really just brainstorming and trying to solidify our own ideas. The next 3 months communicating with other outside resources to get their takes and understand how we can best thrive. And then the next 3 months basically trying to establish communications with as many community centers, deem who would be the most basically like proper for a loan, and then just working out the logistics of that, choosing our first loanee, and then just all the logistics of that. So obviously, I think they trust on needed 6 months or a year for the first one.
Months
It's a
over.
year.
Oh, a year.
Yeah, so a year. So we sort of got that process done quite early on, and then he returned his loan last month. So
Definitely
thing-
sounds. Sorry,
Oh.
sorry. You're saying?
I was just saying one thing I'll quickly add. I also think just to build off of Alexa, when we say it was a year, we're talking about like very, very, very initial inkling that like the three of us wanted to do something related to microfinance and not knowing exactly the direction we were taking. We didn't even know if we wanted to be a for-profit or a non-profit, all those things we had to discuss. So it was very much from the abstract to the real, as Alexa mentioned, but I don't want to deter you by saying that it took so long, but yeah.
But also,
Definitely.
I think that it was completely necessary to have that full year. I think that just going through the permutations and combinations of what we could do and what would actually make our business thrive was what was so integral to our success now. So if you are trying to or possibly starting one of your own entrepreneurial endeavors, I would recommend that. Yeah, Dalton.
I was just wondering, for the internship, like what's like the time commitment on that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to say something?
The information I'll be sending out if you reach out, it has descriptions and like a small estimate of the time commitment for every single position. So yeah, once again, I think I left my email in the chat. So if you just shoot me an email or shoot anybody else an email, we will make sure to get back to you with like the role descriptions and then a Google form where you can actually apply.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And Dalton, the one thing I will say is we are high school students. We understand that things get busy with, sports, music, whatever you may do. Like we're flexible people. We know what it's like. And yeah, you can see more details on the form.
Yeah, and just to clarify, this the internship is all like remote, right? Like there's no
Yes.
nothing in person or anything like that, right?
Yep.
Mhm. And occasionally we might want to do like a meeting in person, but it does not matter if you are not in New York City.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question, but Dalton just answered it with the end of his question. Thank you.
Hold on.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, again for speaking. It was super informative, and yeah, really appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having us today.
Yeah,
Thank
really-
you so much for having me.
Thank
It was a great
you.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Very, very nice stuff. Very good stuff.
Yeah, have a good night.
Impressive stuff. Parents must be very proud, guys.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Very kind. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. My pleasure.
All right.
Have a great day.
Have a good one, everybody.
You too.
Let's shut this down.
Yeah.
Good.
Perfect.
Or can we kick out? Okay.